3 months ago, I opened a container of rice that I had stored for 2 years. What I discovered inside made me gag. Today I will talk about 5 mistakes that ruined my first attempt at food storage and how to avoid them. When I first started, I thought it was wise to buy rice and beans in bulk. But in reality, I was preparing myself for disaster. The good news is that every mistake I made is easily fixable, and I will show you how. Before addressing the mistakes, let's discuss why rice and beans are important for frugal food stockpilers. These two products are amazing for 3 reasons. First, they are inexpensive. You can buy food for a month for less than $50. Second, with proper storage, they can last a very long time, from 20 to 30 years. Thirdly, together they provide complete nutrition. Rice offers carbohydrates and some protein, while beans add protein and fiber. Together, they cover your basic needs. But here is the problem. Most people handle the storage process so poorly that their rice and beans become unusable in just a few months. Let's make sure this doesn't happen to you. The first mistake is using the wrong containers. The first mistake almost everyone makes is storing rice and beans in whatever comes to hand. Plastic containers from the grocery store, old jars, or worse, leaving everything in original packaging. I made this mistake myself with the first batch. I bought 40 pounds of rice, left it in store bags, placed them in a plastic container, and shoved it in the cupboard. 6 months later, I discovered insects, and not just a couple. There were hundreds of tiny beetles that had turned my rice into their personal breeding ground. What most people do not understand is that rice and beans often contain insect eggs when you buy them. These eggs are microscopic, and you cannot see them. Ordinary containers allow air and moisture in, creating perfect conditions for insect reproduction. The solution is simple, but it must be executed correctly from the start. The first step is to acquire suitable containers. You need food-grade buckets with tight lids. I use 5-liter buckets, as they are the optimal size and stack well. They can be found in hardware stores or ordered online. The second step is to use Mylar bags. These are special bags that create a barrier against oxygen and moisture. You place the Mylar bag inside a bucket, fill it with rice or beans, and then seal it. Real Mylar bags are thick and silver. Cheap options you see online that look like shiny plastic won't do. The third step is oxygen absorbers. These are small packets that remove oxygen from your sealed container. Without oxygen, insects cannot survive, and your food remains fresh. For a 5-liter bucket, you will need an oxygen absorber with a capacity of 2,000 cubic centimeters. They come in packages, and as soon as you open the bag, they need to be used within 15 minutes, as they start to take effect immediately. Here is my exact process. I pour rice or beans into a Mylar bag inside a bucket, adding an oxygen absorber. First, I seal the Mylar bag with food using a regular iron on medium heat, pressing it against the top of the bag and moving slowly to create an airtight seal. As soon as the bag is sealed, I close the bucket lid and stick on a label indicating the contents and date. That's it. Now your rice or beans are protected from insects, moisture, and oxygen. They can be stored in good condition for decades. One quick tip: some people freeze rice and beans for a week before sealing them to kill insect eggs. This is effective, but not necessary if you use oxygen absorbers. I used both methods, and only the one with oxygen absorbers worked perfectly for me. The second mistake is buying only one type of each product. Many think that all rice is the same, and all beans are too. I notice how people buy one huge bag of white rice and one large bag of pinto beans, thinking that their supplies are complete. After 3 days of eating the same food, you start to hate it. After a week, you would rather refuse to eat than face another plate. This is not weakness. It is human nature. Your body and mind need diverse food. There is also a practical side. Different types of beans are cooked differently. Some take several hours, others only 20 minutes. Here is what I do. I keep several types of rice and different varieties of beans. The main supply is white rice, as it lasts the longest. Brown rice contains oils that spoil within a year, even in airtight packaging. But I also keep some instant rice for emergencies, which cooks in 5 minutes and requires minimal fuel. As for beans, I have a variety. Pinto beans are my main choice since they are cheap, but I also keep black beans, which are great for soups. For chili, I use red beans. Most importantly, I store red and green lentils. The goal is not to accumulate 50 different products, but to have enough options for preparing a variety of dishes. Think about it. In Mexican cuisine, black beans are used with cumin and chili powder, In Indian cuisine, lentils are used with curry. In Italian cuisine, white beans with garlic. The same basic ingredients, but completely different dishes. The third mistake is forgetting about taste and fats. Here, most people's plans fall apart in real life. They store rice and beans, cook them, and realize that everything tastes like cardboard. 5 years ago, I conducted an experiment with my family. We lived on our supplies for a week. On the third day, my children begged for something else. The problem wasn't that we were hungry. The problem was that tasteless food is torture. Let's break it down into two parts: spices and fats. First of all, spices. You need to store spices in bulk, not just have a pretty shelf of them. Salt is number one. Keep at least 5 pounds per person. Salt preserves food, enhances flavor, and is essential for your body. Stock up on regular salt and several types of flavored salt, such as garlic. Next come the flavor enhancers. Garlic and onion powder turn bland food into something edible. Chili powder and cumin create Mexican dishes. Curry powder opens the doors to Indian cuisine. Italian spices are perfect for pasta and Mediterranean dishes. I also keep broth cubes to add richness to cooking water. Hot sauce in small bottles can last for years. Dry herbs like oregano and basil are almost weightless, yet they add immense flavor. Soy sauce adds the savory depth that makes food truly enjoyable. These ingredients are essential. Without them, your food might be unappetizing. Now let's talk about fats. This is something that many people completely overlook. Rice and beans contain almost no fat. It is fat that makes food tasty and satisfying. Your body also needs fat to absorb certain vitamins and to function normally. The problem is that most cooking oils spoil quickly. Vegetable oil and olive oil oxidize and become rancid within a year or two. My solution is ghee, which can be stored for years at room temperature in proper packaging. It adds richness to rice and makes beans creamy. I also store small amounts of margarine in airtight containers. It's not the healthiest food, but in an emergency, calories from fat are very valuable. Another option is refined coconut oil. Unlike regular cooking oil, it remains stable for 5 or more years with proper storage. Here is a real example of why this is important. Plain white rice and simple beans. Boring and difficult to eat. Now add salt, garlic powder, cumin, chili powder, and a spoonful of melted butter. Suddenly you have food that is truly delicious. Add some dried onions, and you have a full dinner that feels restaurant quality. When buying supplies, don't spend all your money on rice and beans. Spend 80% on rice and beans and 20% on spices and fats. This small investment makes the difference between food you will eat and food that will go unused. Mistake number 4 is not knowing how to cook them. This mistake can become a problem at the most inconvenient moment. They preserve the beans in perfect conditions but do not know how to cook them. Dry beans are not like opening cans. They need to be prepared in certain steps. I learned this from my own experience during practice. I tried to cook kidney beans without knowing the correct method. I threw them straight into the multi-cooker without soaking or boiling them beforehand. After a few hours, they were still hard. It turned out that kidney beans contain a natural toxin. If you don't boil them for at least 10 minutes before slow cooking, this toxin won't break down and can cause serious poisoning. Let me share the correct method for cooking beans so you never encounter this problem. The first step is to sort the beans. Lay them out on a tray and remove stones, broken beans, or odd pieces. This takes a minute, but saves you from an unexpected stone bite. The second step is to rinse them in cold water to remove dust and debris. The third step is to soak them. You have 2 options. Soaking overnight is simple. Cover the beans with water, about 3 centimeters above the level of the beans, and leave for 8 to 12 hours. Do not exceed 12 hours, otherwise they will start to ferment. Quick soaking is faster. Cover the beans with water and bring to a boil. Boil for 2 minutes. Then remove from the heat and let it sit covered for 90 minutes. Here's a little secret that will improve your beans. Add a tablespoon of salt to the soaking water. This really helps the beans soften better and gives them flavor from the inside. The old myth that salt makes beans tough is false. Fourth step, after soaking, drain and rinse the beans. Do not cook them in the water they were soaked in. This water contains substances that cause gas. Fifth step, prepare them correctly. Place the beans in a pot. Pour fresh water so that it covers the beans by 5 centimeters and bring to a strong boil. This is critically important. Boil vigorously for at least 10 minutes. This makes the beans safe and destroys toxins. After that, reduce the heat to a gentle simmer and cook until soft. For pinto and red beans, it takes between 1 hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours. Black beans cook for about 1 hour. They are ready when they can be easily mashed between fingers. A real breakthrough will be the use of a pressure cooker, which reduces cooking time from 2 hours to 20 minutes. Even old beans stored for many years soften in a pressure cooker. I use a multi-cooker and consider it one of my most valuable tools. But here's the key point. Practice this before an emergency. Cook a batch of beans once a month. Remember the cooking time. Master the process. When you are in a stressful situation and cooking on a camping stove, you shouldn't be figuring it out for the first time. Also, learn to cook without electricity. I have a gas stove for camping specifically for these cases. I have cooked beans on it many times, so I know it works and how much fuel is needed. One more tip. Hard water makes beans tough. If your tap water has a lot of minerals, the beans may never soften. The solution is to use filtered water or add a pinch of baking soda to the water for cooking. Mistake number 5. Only storing rice and beans. This is the biggest strategic mistake. Someone learns that rice and beans make a complete protein, buys a year's supply, and thinks that's all there is to it. But that's not the case. They create problems for themselves. If rice and beans are the only products in your supply, you miss important elements. You lack nutrients, variety, and the ability to truly sustain yourself in the long term. Rice and beans together provide complete protein, which is good, but they lack many other nutrients. They are low in vitamins A, C, B12, and K. They contain little calcium and potassium. They have almost no fats. If you only eat this for weeks, you will start experiencing deficiencies, fatigue, brain fog, weak immunity, and slow recovery. In a crisis situation, you cannot afford this. Here's what you need to add to your supplies. First, multivitamins. They are inexpensive, last for years, and cover nutritional deficiencies. Keep a supply for at least 1 year for each family member. Secondly, sources of vitamin C. Store canned fruits, dried fruits, or vitamin C tablets. Thirdly, healthy fats. I have already mentioned avocados and coconut oil. Also consider canned fish, such as tuna or salmon. They provide omega-3 fatty acids and protein. Peanut butter in sealed jars lasts for 2 years and is a source of fats, protein, and comfort. Fourth is a variety of carbohydrates. Don't limit yourself to just rice. Keep pasta, which cooks faster and requires less fuel. Oatmeal is a great option for breakfast. If you can bake, stock up on flour. Instant mashed potatoes are a quick carbohydrate dish. All these products are inexpensive, durable, and will help diversify the diet. The fifth is protein variety. Even if you have a dozen cans of chicken or beef, it gives you options. Canned beans cook faster than dried ones and require minimal fuel. The sixth is vegetables. Dried vegetables are light, inexpensive, and store for a long time. Onions, peppers, tomatoes, carrots. Canned vegetables can also be stored. Canned tomatoes are a staple as they add acidity, flavor, and nutritional value. The seventh is comfort food. This is not trivial. In a crisis situation, morale is of immense importance. Keep some chocolate, candy, instant coffee or tea, hot chocolate powder. These items cost almost nothing but greatly help maintain spirits. Eighth, water and fuel.
Вы не сможете приготовить рис и бобы без воды и тепла. Я храню воду в 5-литровых бутылях и имею систему для сбора дождевой воды на случай непредвиденных обстоятельств. Для топлива у меня есть пропан для походной плиты и дрова для костра. Вот схема, которую я использую.
My food storage consists of layers. The base is grains, rice, beans, oatmeal, pasta. These are cheap calories that last a long time. The second layer is canned goods and preserves for variety and nutrients. The third layer is comfort foods and spices to lift the mood. The fourth layer is tools and knowledge to use all of this. If you only have the foundation, you lack food security. You have ingredients that can lead to malnutrition or that may remain unused because they are simply unpleasant to eat. I learned this from people who have experienced real emergencies. The prepared ones who coped the best were not those with more rice and beans. They were the ones who had variety, spices, and the ability to cook dishes that seemed normal, even when everything else was not. Food is not just fuel, it is comfort, routine, and a connection to normalcy when the world around is chaotic. Let me share one last story that ties everything together. I know a man who stored 90 kilograms of rice and beans, all perfectly sealed in buckets. He was proud of his supplies. Then he lost his job and had to live off this reserve for 3 months while looking for work. He managed, but told me it was incredibly hard. Not because he was starving, he had enough calories. But after 2 weeks of monotonous food of beans and rice, he was so tired of it that sometimes he skipped meals. His children refused to eat. His family was suffering. They had food, but they still suffered. He said that if he could start over, he would spend less on grains and more on variety, spices, and comfort foods. Volume was necessary, but it was not enough. That is the lesson. So let's summarize the 5 mistakes and how to correct them. The first mistake is using the wrong containers. Correct your mistakes by using food-grade containers, storage bags, and oxygen absorbers. The second mistake is buying only one type of rice and legumes. Correct this by storing several varieties, including quick cooking options like lentils and instant rice. Mistake number 3 is forgetting about flavor and fats. Fix this by allocating 20% of the budget for seasonings, spices, and shelf-stable fats like ghee. Mistake number 4 is not knowing how to cook dried beans. Fix this by practicing now, learning the proper methods of soaking and boiling, and consider buying a pressure cooker. Mistake number 5 is only storing rice and legumes. Correct this by adding variety. Vitamins, fats, different carbohydrates and proteins, vegetables, and favorite dishes. If you found this information useful, like it so more people can see it. Subscribe for new practical tips without intimidation. I publish new videos every week about food storage, water safety, and real skills for real situations. Write in the comments about any mistakes you've made or what you're working on in your preparation. I read every comment, and it's nice to hear from you. We are all learning together. Until next time, stay prepared, keep calm, and continue to build the confidence that comes from readiness. Thank you for watching.